Hi crafty friends, this is Joy and welcome back to my channel. My project for you today is from Spellbinders and I'm going to show you how I made 2 cards using the beautiful large die of the month for April. Now for my first card I am having a lot of vellum and so I'm making 2 slimline cards, and so I have this cut to 8.5 by 3.5 and I'm scoring it at the 3.5 inch mark. Now I actually do end up trimming this down a little bit smaller to fit the die, but it really doesn't change that this is going to fit into a slimline envelope. So my vellum is fairly thin, so I'm going to be adding some cardstock to it to give it a little more structure, but really this is a vellum card. Now I have 2 of the die cut pieces and I'm lining those up on some white cardstock. The bottom one is a scalloped and the top part is a wavy one. And when you put it together, you have this great piece. And what I think is fun about this die cut is you can make that piece as thick as you would like. I kept it fairly thin because I am going to be using the stamp of the month for April to add some decoration to this card piece. So in my Misty, I have that wavy die cut piece and I've got this stamp that has a bunch of stems. And so I'm using some green ink. This is from the Stamp Market. It's the Cactus ink. And as you can see here, we are going to be adding some flowers to this. So I stamped my first one, scooted my image over, or my cardstock over, and then I'm going to line up the stamp so that way it can finish across this wavy card piece. I'm going to stamp that up again with the same Cactus ink, and now we've got this great base. Now I'm going to stamp the flowers from this set too, and there's 3 groups of flowers, and I have 3 different colors: peach, melon, and bubble from the Stamp Market, and I just think they're such beautiful colors together. I have 3 acrylic blocks that I'm going to have so I can make this part go fast. So I've got my inks lined up there and then my 3 acrylic blocks with the different colors on. So my first boo-boo is I stamped that same ink twice, but then I fixed it right there by adding that proper color. I'm just going to alternate between the 3 colors, and this makes it so fast you don't have to remove your stamp. You just have all of them attached to different acrylic blocks, and it just goes assembly line really, really quick. But didn't that turn out so, so pretty? So I have that lined up on my top piece of my vellum card base, basically is what I'm going to call it. And I would like to have a scalloped edge for the vellum. So I'm just lining my 2 pieces up, taping that down, and running that through my die cut machine. Make sure you don't run it through both pieces because I want my back piece to not be die cut. So once I remove that, now we've got this beautiful scalloped piece. Now I'm adding a piece of white cardstock inside because I do need to make a panel for the back. I'm lining that up and then I'm just trimming that down using the vellum card panel as my guide to trim out the white cardstock. Once that's done, I'm going to come back in with the scalloped edge die and line that up because I want another scalloped edge. I just think the scalloped edges are so, so pretty. So I'm just going to run that through the die cut machine. And when I adhere that in there, we'll have 3 layers of scalloped for the card. So I'm going to add the top piece first. Isn't that pretty? I'm going to add the top piece first, that strip right here. And you can put this anywhere on the card, but I want it really close so you kind of have this staggered edge of scalloped edges, if that makes sense. I'm going to use a little bit of liquid glue to adhere this down to the top. We will add a piece behind this on the inside of the card, but for now I'm just going to adhere that down. And then the inside piece I'm going to adhere down. First I decided I was going to glue the wrong side, so I had to wipe that off, flip it over, add a little bit of liquid glue, just tiny little dots, and slide that in. And so now the recipient has, or the giver of the card has somewhere to write their message. And isn't that so, so pretty with all the different scallops? Now I want to stamp a sentiment, and I originally had planned to stamp it in one of the colors. I think I was going to use the peach color, and it says thank you on it, and this comes in that stamp set as well. It's got that great little scoop to follow along. But I decided I wanted to do some gold heat embossing. So I came back in with my VersaMark ink. I hadn't removed my stamp from the Misty yet. Stamped it with VersaMark ink, came in with gold embossing powder, and I'm just going to heat that through until it's melted, and I think that turned out really, really beautiful and perfect for this card. I felt like doing a different color actually made it stand out much better. And isn't that so pretty? So now I need to cut a piece for the back. So I'm just lining those die cuts back up around the piece I'd already cut. And you can kind of feel when you shove it up next to the paper, you can feel when it fits in properly. So I've taped that together. I'm going to use some white cardstock, again, die cutting that. You could use a different color cardstock and that would be pretty on the inside of the card as well. And then I'm going to tape that and stick that to the inside. And then you can't see any adhesive on the back, and I'd already stamped on the back of that paper, so it was quite ugly. So I'm going to tape that down and just cut off the excess that's hanging out of both sides. I'm going to finish this one off with some little gold foil pearls from Studio Katia, and then that card is finished. Now for my next card, I have got some Peacock cardstock from Simon Says Stamp. I am using a couple of the other dies in this set that I hadn't used. You've got the bottom one that has a bunch of flowers, and then this beautiful second one I just butted right up next to it, and it just die cuts out some intricate pieces, and it's so, so pretty. So you could do that multiple times. And ignore my little top edge of my card there. I had a different plan and it didn't work out, so I did something different. Using my tool-in-one to punch out all of those pieces, and then I'm coming back in with just the stitched little cut wavy line, and I'm going to cut another piece off of the top. And that top piece, I'm going to stamp the sentiment that says Happy Birthday from the same stamp set. I'm prepping that with my anti-static powder tool, coming in using VersaMark ink, which is a clear embossing ink, and some white embossing powder. And I'm going to heat that through until it's melted, and then we're going to get this card put together. And I'm going to use some foam tape behind this because I did want this piece to have some dimension, and this is going to be at the top of our card base, which is the same Peacock cardstock from Simon Says Stamp. So I'm going to line that up here. The other piece that has the flowers at the bottom, I'm going to use a little bit of liquid glue, and I'm actually going to kind of slide this under that other piece. I'm not sliding it under all the way because I've got the foam tape there, which is stopping it. But I'm going to slide that under, and then this does not have any dimension. And you can look and see how pretty that looks already. But now we're going to add some color to this card. Now these flowers are in that same large die. You get so many dies in this. It's so wonderful. I die cut those from the peach, the melon, from the peach and melon cardstock from the Stamp Market, and I used banana from Simon Says Stamp for the yellow. These colors feel kind of tropical to me. Some of the flowers I added some foam tape behind. Other flowers I'm adding just some liquid glue directly to the card panel. I'm tucking some leaves under each of the flowers, and I have some of them on that top part that is popped up with foam tape, and then obviously other flowers on the bottom. I am coming in and using some Nuvo crystal drops and Simply White to all of the centers of the flowers. So I wasn't worried about putting the flower centers in. You could if you wanted to. And I'm also going to add that to just every other hole in the center row of that really intricate die cut piece. Now this is done, and isn't that so pretty with all of the die cut detail, even though it's the same color, and then you've got these beautiful flowers that are just popped off and a fun embossed sentiment. I think this is such a pretty, pretty card. And of course the first card that we made I feel is really quite elegant and dainty with all the scalloped edges. It is so, so pretty with the vellum. I just want to thank you guys so very much for stopping by and watching. I appreciate your support. Please subscribe to my channel. I do have some affiliate links below. It costs you nothing to use, but it helps me. So thank you, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.